manager of the season, guys. Manager of the season. I mean, considering the fact that certain teams have done extremely well, I think we can then probably focus on those managers in particular. Um, I don't have the nominees here with me at the moment, but I would read out some of the standout managers that we've had this season. First of all, for me, has to be Andoni Iraola. That's the coach of Bournemouth. He's obviously has done a lot of great service for Bournemouth this season, considering where they were last season and where they are now. Also, their match performances, the consistency, the style of play, and obviously with him, certain stars have now popped out of Bournemouth. Antoine Semenyo, Justin Kluivert has finally found a home at Bournemouth, and he's playing very, very well now. Dean Huijsen, obviously, who we've spoken about earlier. Kerkesh, who's most likely going to be on his way to Liverpool. I think obviously due to the financial capacity of Bournemouth, they would then mold themselves in the likeness of probably the likes of Brighton, where they're going to keep just bringing up young, very, very good young players, buying good players, and then selling off to the highest bidder, which is a great way for a club like that to be to basically survive and thrive in the Premier League. So it's a good one for them. So first shout first shout for manager of the season for me definitely has to be Andoni Iraola. I think the second person who deserves a good shout, a worthy nomination, probably has to be Nuno Espirito Santo for Nottingham Forest. We know Forest have had a great season, and since he took over, look, Forest have just gone up a notch. The quality of the football that they play and then their productivity has gone up a notch. Third nominee definitely has to be Oliver Glasner. That's the coach of Crystal Palace. Crystal Palace obviously last week or 2 weeks ago, just won the FA Cup. They've had a great season. And they've been consistent as well. I do remember that they had a rough patch shortly after January, but then they were able to get their season back on track. And then, at the end of the day, they were able to win the FA Cup. The fourth shout obviously has to be Anslot. Liverpool winning the league, Anslot coming from the Eredivisie, which is not one of the top flight leagues in the world. A lot of people did not know who he was. No one really knew his pedigree. And I will admit that I was one of the people that I felt the appointment was weird. I mean, I understood the brand of football that Feyenoord were playing. It was good, it was nice, but in my own opinion, I just felt like, he had not really coached any other top team. So yeah, what does he have to offer Liverpool? But he has shown that he's a brilliant tactician. That's the first thing I must say. I think that's the standout thing about Anslot. He's a brilliant tactician, and the way he was just able to add a pinch of salt to that Liverpool team and just make them tick better than they were over the last 2 seasons under Jurgen Klopp, without a doubt, he deserves a very, very solid shout. And I think the fifth nominee for manager of the season, this might be a bit for okay. I'm going to make it six. I'll make it six because the person's name I'm about to mention, a lot of people might just find this cheeky, but I think David Moyes deserves a solid shout for manager of the season. I know he obviously didn't coach Everton for the entirety of the season, but what he has done within what 4 months, I think has been amazing. I think Everton were going to be doomed for relegation under Sean Dyche, and even if they're going to survive relegation under Sean Dyche, it would probably be till the last day of the season or towards the end of the season. But I think David Moyes has done a fantastic job so far. The last person, which is the sixth nominee for us, I think, yeah, Marco Silva. I think Marco Silva with Fulham deserve a good shout. Considering Fulham being a regular mid-table team, but the match performances this season, they've honestly the quality is so much, much better. Considering the fact that they lost one of their best players from last season, Palinia, and then they were still able to come into this season confident, playing good football, giving us those great upset results against certain teams. I think Marco Silva has done greatly with Fulham this season. So um, Marco Silva, David Moyes, Andoni Iraola, Anslot, Oliver Glasner, those are our nominees for manager of the season. For me, I think standout manager of the season for me has to be Nuno Espirito Santo for of Nottingham Forest. I think Nuno has always shown us that he's a manager that knows how to get the best out of his players, and if you give him big players, he will definitely deliver. I think he needed more time at Spurs. I think Daniel Levy was a bit too quick to dismiss him. I think he was doing something great at Spurs, especially with the type of players he was attracting during his time at Spurs as well. So, and then we've seen what he's done with Nottingham Forest. Also, what I like about his success with Forest this season is that he has shown that he's a manager who can adapt to a team, not just a team adapting to him. Majorly highlighting the fact that Forest this season have played with a four at the back. When he took over last season, he went in straight for his default system of football, which is a three at the back. But then looking at the quality of the Forest players and the caliber of players that he had with him, he knew that obviously these players can offer more than just pinging the long balls and not playing so much of football in the midfield. And then Forest has done greatly this season so far. I mean, for a lengthy period of the season, Forest was second. They were second, they were third. They were basically playing in and around the Champions League spots. So for me, Nuno Espirito Santo definitely has to be my manager of the season. So Toby, over to you.
Nuno is a very interesting shout. Honestly, Nuno was my number two in terms of manager of the season. I really have to give him props for being able to manage Forest with the way he has. Started the season with their owner when at the beginning, it was at the end of the previous manager's tenure, it was very unstable. A lot of weird news coming out. The whole thing with them hiring ex Premier League ref, the beef they had with the referees for a second, all the players they brought in, the fact that they are where they are now, considering where they were before, people were probably forecasting them for relegation at the end of the season, going into this season. And we're talking about, a top six side that has a chance to make it into the Champions League. For Nottingham Forest, that is really, really, really big. And he was my number two. But my number one has to be the man that I hate right now. Maybe hate is a strong word. I just like him a lot because he came into our league and decided that he wanted to win the whole thing. Is Arne Slot. No one would have ever, like even the biggest Liverpool fan, was not going to predict that they were going to win the league this year with their new manager. And my as the season was going on, I would keep saying to myself, or to my friends that they're gonna get it. Arne is used to the season. They're having a good run. They have great players, but eventually the Premier League is gonna stand up and show him that this is our league. This is us, and you can't just come in here and like win the thing in your first try. That's not gonna happen. I was confident that our managers, our players, all these teams, for the pride of the Premier League, we're gonna show him that as a new joiner, you can't just come take over. But he kept his cool. He was very, very, very good in managing the Liverpool side. I would say they have a very good team, but his man management, his team selections in the Premier League were very top. I think his demeanor is something that a lot of managers should model in the sense of he's not. Sometimes he can maybe say one or two things that are crazy. Every manager does, but he's very, very calm, cool headed, seems like a very smart and eloquent speaker. And Liverpool have a very great manager on their hands now, and I'm worried for the future. But yeah, Arne Slot, without a doubt, is my manager of the season because of what he's done coming in here. Yeah, thank you.
Great, great. So I said my manager of the season is Nuno Espirito Santo. Toby just told us that his manager of the season is Arne Slot, obviously who won the Premier League with Liverpool. Over to you, Anu.
So for me, the manager of the season, same as Lagash, has to be
Mm.
Slot. So the first time I had heard of Slot was when he was having the Mourinho Wars, from the last few years ago. And I still remember the Feyenoord team that he coached were very, very well coached because I pretty much watched, I won't say all those games, but pretty much all of them. And I saw like how he played, and I was very intrigued to see how he would do in the Premier League. And he has surpassed everyone's expectations, every single person. And I'd say, including his own as well, really. Um, I really don't think he will do it again next year, but just the fact that he has is like so amazing.
Mm. Great, solid shout right there, Arne Slot. He deserves it definitely. So right here on the TME podcast, our manager of the season is Arne Slot. You know, the man, the bald-headed man who came from the Netherlands and just came into the Premier League, took it by storm, and just grabbed himself a nice Premier League title in his first season. So Arne Slot, you are the TME podcast manager of the season.